Well, the fans have spoken, literally, that they want to hear what I have to say about bronies. What's a brony, you ask? It's an adult male fan of the kids show My Little Pony, Friendship is Magic. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. What? A male fan of My Little Pony? A grown man that is a fan of a show targeted for 8-year-old girls? What could possibly be wrong about this person? Now hear me out. I was never like, oh, he's weird. I was originally on the side that said, okay, it's just a TV show, so what? But apparently it's a bigger deal than I thought. I mean, here's an actual request in one of my private messages, and I have others too. And when I announced on my YouTube channel comments that I was finally going to talk about bronies, I had a couple users contact me saying they were bronies, one offering me to help understand the subject more, and another wanting me to be more careful. And I have seen many comments on YouTube videos like these, and of course you search a popular video, there's almost always a comment about a brony or from a brony talking about how great it is to be a brony. And of course on any videos about My Little Pony, just go to any one of them and you will see a ton of comments like proud to be a brony, Pegasisters for life, or bronies suck, they need to die. There are various websites dedicated to them, and there are various websites dedicated to hating them. And when I think of that, I mean, whoa, what could possibly be so big about this, and why is a big deal made about it? Why are people so hostile towards adults that just happen to enjoy a kid's cartoon? Before I talk about the fans, I have to touch up on the franchise itself. When I was a kid in the 90s, we all knew of My Little Pony as just a line of plastic toys meant for little girls. Any person that grew up from the 80s through today remembers the commercials they had to see as a kid advertising the toys. The popularity sparked the popular cartoon, which as a whole has been around us as long as the toys. It's right up there with Ninja Turtles and Transformers in terms of popularity, with various incarnations over the years. And it's one of those franchises that keep the generation together with a mutual admiration of the show, whether it's the characters, the writing, the storyline, or whatever. First we had the original cartoon series in 1984. We had the short-lived My Little Pony Tales that aired on the Disney Channel in the 90s. We had the early 2000s, a third-generation line of toys that had its share of movies released on DVDs. And then we go on today where we have the animated show My Little Pony, Friendship is Magic. That airs on the Discovery Kids channel. No, wait, it's called the Hub channel now. It happens to be made by the same woman who worked on Powerpuff Girls, which from looking at screenshots I can see a little resemblance in the animation style, and that ain't bad at all. The cartoon has literally taken the entertainment world and internet by storm. I mean, when I was at Comic-Con, they had a big booth on the bottom floor where all the Hasbro toys were, and there was a lot of stuff they were trying to sell, and it was very popular, if I recall. I also remember quite a few adults dressed up as characters from the show, so it obviously has a big enough impact if people are dressing up as it. So it leads to the question, how? How did this get so big? How did this show that was once ridiculed by little boys and once thought of as stupid by adults who grew out of buying the toys become loved by a number of adult, let alone male fans, let alone adult male fans? How has this surge become as big as anything? How has this led to there being countless fan fiction novels, numerous DeviantArt pages, and how did it lead to there being brony conventions? How? I ask, how? Well, some of you would just say, are people just stupid? Are we just surrounded by people who don't know what good television is anymore? But upon reading about the show, I have found the following sentences. The creator, Lauren Faust, was a fan of the franchise in her youth, but was dissatisfied with the poor writing that she felt pandered to sexist stereotypes. Thus, she endeavored to design her own version of the property to address those concerns and created characters and settings that challenged the stereotypical norms of girly images and added adventure and humorous elements to keep the parents interested. Well, that's it in a nutshell right there, don't you think? Instead of making more of the same and making another version of the show that immediately makes us think, oh God, another girly commercial again, take it away, take it away. Miss Foss decided to make something different while keeping true to aiming towards the target demographic of young girls and their parents. Well, not only did the little girls love it, but their parents obviously loved it too. And that's where there's obviously adult female fans of the show, plain and simple. And there's really no other way to explain that. But wait, how did males get into the show and thus spread the term brony around? Well, from the start, wouldn't you think that there were a few dads that watched the show with their daughters and thought, this isn't half bad? A lot of brony testimonials would say how they were told to watch it, had heard of what bronies were, and they thought, are you kidding? I can't watch a show like this. How could I watch a show that's aimed for little girls? But then they watched it and found things in it that they related to and instantly got hooked. After all, even as skeptical as they were, this didn't look like the typical kids show that was poorly written. This looked like a show that actually was well written, had something the adults could like about it too. And indeed, that was the case. I mean, listen to this sentence. Some bronies are enlisted personnel in the U.S. military who have included various cutie mark symbols from their show as insignia on their uniforms or equipment. And they came by the show through way of their daughters, but found the emphasis on teamwork and covering each other's backs resonated with military onset. Whoa! And then, of course, you have some famous people like rocker Andrew WK, who have come out as fans of the show. And Andrew WK has said he identifies with the over-enthusiastic character of Pinkie Pie. He said she's another creature, much like I am in this world, who's doing everything she can to have fun. What's wrong with that? And I don't mean to get off topic, but believe it or not, the idea of adult males liking a show geared for 8-year-olds has been done before. Shows like Tiny Toon Adventures, Rocko's Modern Life, Animaniacs, Phineas and Ferb, and dare I say, Invader Zim and SpongeBob SquarePants have an adult cult following that praise the show for their writing, appreciate the shows aimed at adult viewers, and sense a nostalgia for older cartoons. A lot of you know I'm a big fan of Rocko's Modern Life, even though I'm 25 now. And it may not be a masterpiece by any means, but every time I see it, it still leaves a smile on my face. And the last time I got the chance to watch it, it happened to be with a 5-year-old and his mom, who was my age. It was on Netflix. And while the 5-year-old loved the slapstick stuff, and as well as the early quirks that made the show funny, as well as the show that makes the show funny as for kids, his mom and I still found adult references in it that I didn't get when I was younger. And I've seen each episode maybe 100 times. So in light of this information, it has made me ask, so what's really wrong about bronies? I mean, from what I'm reading on the outside, this is something that really isn't that harmful, I think. Bronies are just another group of fans that are passionate about what they're into. Even if it's against gender stereotypes. It's the same that goes with people who are heavily into anime and attend otaku conventions. They're highly functioning people who just happen to choose something that isn't a majority choice. It's like me who plays ice hockey in a state that is more known for Dodgers and Lakers. Or being a fan of a music genre that has a lot of bands that not a lot of people listen to or have even heard of. So for me, when I'm looking at bronies from the outside, I'm saying, right on, go for it. If that's what you like, then by all means be a fan of it. So why are they hated by a lot of people? Is it because they just happen to be fans of a show that's not meant for them? Well, seriously, since when did people have to watch only certain shows? I'm a 25-year-old white male. Does that mean I have to listen to white musicians and watch nothing but shows about sports, action movies, and porn? Does that mean I'm not allowed to watch kid shows or chick flicks? No. And they may not be geared towards me, but I still love old cartoons. And yes, I've watched my fair share of chick flicks because sometimes the love story interests me. Okay? And it also doesn't help that just because certain bronies have written fan fiction and have made various media that's more adult themed, they're incorrectly compared to furries. Well, does this look like something a brony gets into? I mean, look at the different pictures. You don't see them making boobs on My Little Pony. Not the actual cartoon, anyway. And I don't badmouth furries either, but the majority of brony fan base is separate from that. Furries have nothing to do with bronies, and I know it's only a small percentage. But unlike some furries, bronies are not sexually fantasizing about their characters. And if people hate bronies for that reason because they don't consider them normal or if they just don't get it, well, there's obviously ignorance right there. If you don't get it, fine. But come on, don't hate someone because they're a brony. There's a million other reasons to hate a person, and being a brony is not one of them. However, people have told me that there are some bronies that are a little too passionate or rather hostile. One user told me they have sent death threats towards the creators of the show for making certain characters being mean to their favorite characters. Okay, that's kind of funny. But I mean, really, sure, people bugging the creators and producers about a show is nothing new. I mean, I remember people on the Nickelodeon message boards constantly flooding the message boards, sending messages to the Nickelodeon producers telling them, bring back the 90s, damn it. But I'm also hearing about certain bronies that expect people to, quote, respect them and the show and act like it's the most epic thing in the world, and they don't care what anyone else thinks. But when a person says that he doesn't like My Little Pony, they get all butthurt and breathe fire at you. So if I were to tell a brony I don't like the show, they would pretty much preach to me that I was wrong and they're right and I'm an idiot for not liking the show. Okay, well, I know not all bronies are like that, not the ones I've met. But I'm sure depending on where you are, I'm sure you would not get your interest. I'm sure depending on where you are, you would get your interest ruined if someone was constantly shoving My Little Pony down your throat. And I know this is from Urban Dictionary, and there are various posts on the Urban Dictionary about bronies that badmouth them. But this particular one caught my eye for this point I'm making. Quote, there's nothing particularly exciting about being a brony, but they make a big deal out of it. Jump on a forum most places online and you will see these people pushing their fandom. As in, you'll be on a forum for cars and someone will have their display picture as a pony and all their posts will be about ponies. And when people accuse them of being off topic, they go into a rant about acceptance, as if watching a cartoon is some sort of big revelation. Subculture is one thing, but it's totally the other thing to push it into people's faces and then get upset. It would be like a heavy metal fan jumping onto a My Little Pony forum and spending their whole time talking about metal, then getting upset that they aren't well received. As such, bronies are known to complain about acceptance and about how hard it is to live in a world like this. Newsflash, fella, no one really gives a shit. People don't hate that you like My Little Pony. They hate that you won't effing shut up about it. Now, I realize that particular statement was from Urban Dictionary and written by someone who is obviously tired of them, but that phrase at least is correct in my opinion. Again, I'm on the side that says, great, right on, man, and that's what you love, go for it. Depending on how people are, there are going to be those that really don't care, but don't want someone they think is obsessed with it always talking about it, or they feel it's odd and they don't want any part of it, no matter what, and they just don't want to hear about it. Now, when I was a freshman in high school, I tried to start a Rocco fan site. And not only did I try to keep advertising it, but I kept drawing Rocco characters on homework assignments and chalkboards and stuff and publicly drawing fan comics in front of people that it got to a point where someone said, dude, you're obsessed with it. I get it. Can you stop? So I get that mentality about someone who hates a brony just because he doesn't shut up about it. But there are those that are Now, if there are those that are doing that, chances are they aren't very particularly intelligent in real life if they will go to a message board, and let's say the post is about motorbikes, and the next reply is, I know the post is about motorbikes, but didn't any of you see that last episode of My Little Pony? That kind of stuff is shoving down their throats, don't you think? And the real intelligent bronies are not the ones doing that. They're the ones that accept what you like and aren't so in your face about their love of the show. I had to learn to stop being so in your face about the stuff I love, but I mean, for sure, aren't I somewhat doing the same throat-shoving thing when I make videos that badmouth pop and say that metal is better, and if you don't agree with me, then you can go suck it? I mean, yeah, I'm obviously coming off as a self-righteous metal nut to some people when I do that, but I still respect it if someone genuinely tells me that they like the stuff that I bash, and they give me good points against what I said. And I even politely ask people to do so at the end of every rant. And the same goes with the Nickelodeon videos and the Invader Sim fans, well, the intelligent ones anyway. And while I make YouTube videos like that, I'm not going to go all over the internet and imposing what I like. As for the comments that tell me that bronies are the worst fans ever, I completely disagree. there are bad fans of everything. There's good Twilight fans and there's stupid Twilight fans, like the so-called Twilight moms. There's good metal music fans and there's idiot metal music fans, like those who think that people who don't listen to metal are stupid. And again, I'm not one of them. And then there's cool fans of the Detroit Red Wings, and then there's obnoxious Red Wing enthusiasts who think their team is the greatest even if there's no NHL going on at the moment, and anyone who doesn't think so must be bullied into submission. Need I say more? Look, even though I hear great things about My Little Pony, and I hear that it's very well written and such, I'm not going to become a fan of this show. And it's not that I'm closed-minded, I'm just not interested. And I know a lot of guys who do try to give it a chance, and it still doesn't do it for them. So that's fine too. However, I have realized that there are millions of adult fans of the show, and the fan base is growing. Is it a fad? Maybe, but a lot of fads have come and gone, like Harry Potter, Pokemon, and Star Trek, have still remained relevant. And should the day come when My Little Pony goes into obscurity again, and the number of active Bronies is reduced to only a few hundred, the legacy will still remain, and it will be known as a valid craze. Or maybe there will be a new generation show next decade, who knows? If you are a Brony, your comments are very welcome here, and I'd love to hear what you have to say. Or if you have something against the show, tell me. So, get commenting. I'm Desert Coyote 22, and thank you for listening.